What if the thing that you're muting is the thing you're meant to be known for? What if the part of you that you're insecure about or afraid to share with people is the thing that will help them connect most deeply to you? And what if going all in on what makes you different is the thing that'll help you stand out and get attention and be known? What if you had the courage to unmute your magic? For most of my life, I never imagined that I would voluntarily stand on a stage in front of anyone and do anything. I was not a performer. As a kid, I would much rather sit alone in my room reading Nancy Drew books and writing in my journal and just be left alone. I was shy, I was quiet, I was guarded, I was reserved, I was soft-spoken, I was self-conscious. Maybe some of you can relate. But there was this part of me that showed up when I was in a room with the doors closed by myself, when I was singing along to tapes by Amy Grant, Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, Desiree, Boyz II Men, and I like diva out. You have those moments where you diva out, you're like in the shower, in the car, and you're like, this is a part of me no one will ever see. And that's what showed up for me in those moments. That I left that little girl locked in that room. And the second I was around anybody else, I muted myself because I was so self-conscious and so insecure, and I thought, gosh, if I'm not like the best and so perfect and so impressive at this right away, like what's the point? I wouldn't even join the choir at my high school because you had to audition to get in, which is like kind of normal for joining a choir. You had to audition to get in, and I was like, that is way too big of a risk, like hard pass. And so I sat where you are and I just listened to them do the thing I loved. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just sat in the audience on the sidelines watching other people do the thing that you love, thinking to yourself, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that better, maybe. I don't want to tell anybody, but I think I could. And I had those thoughts, but I was too afraid to do anything about it. I muted myself for the same reason that so many of us do, because of fear. I've surveyed thousands of people to ask them, what are the reasons you silence yourself, you doubt yourself, you mute yourself, you hold yourself back? And the most consistent response I see in their answers is that self-silencing is rooted in fear. We have a fear of failure, of rejection, of judgment, of not being good enough, of being too much, of being too quirky, like, can I do that? Is that unprofessional if I do that? Will people accept me? Will they think I'm smart enough? Will they think I'm credible enough? If I show that part of myself, is that okay? Is that acceptable? And most of us decide that the fear is not worth taking the risk, and so we do the safe thing instead of doing the brave thing. For so much of my life, that is what I did. A semester abroad in Spain, my junior year of college, changed things for me. I came back and I had this new lease on life, and I was emboldened, and I auditioned for a solo in the gospel choir, and I got it, and I got a solo every semester after that. But aside from that, I didn't really do much of anything with music or share my voice the way that I really deep down wanted to. And in 2018, a year after I had burned out with mono while serving as the director of well-being at my company, I decided I need to shake some things up. And so I signed up for this speaking program, and one of the activities we had to do is something every one of you can do. It's a really fun exercise. We had to pair up with another person, and we had to share a story that we had never shared on stage before, a story about something that was a pivotal part in our journey. And so I got matched up with a guy named James. There's a couple Jameses in here today. I got matched up with a guy named James, and I told him the gospel choir story and how I sang. I had never told anyone that story in over a dozen years. And he looked at me, he's like, you must tell that story every time you get on stage. And I said, I sure don't. Because my topic is like workplace culture and employee engagement and well-being, and how does that have anything to do with that topic? No. But he and other coaches encouraged me, and there's actually 2 people that are in this room today that were part of that experience with me 6 years ago, and they saw for the first time me integrating speaking and singing, which is something that I never saw as a connection. There was the part of me that sang, who stayed locked up in the room, and there was the part of me that spoke, and those 2 were never gonna hang out together. And each of you have a version of yourself like that, a version of you that is locked in that room, that is muted, that is silenced, that is cut off. And that is the most vital part of you. And you are robbing yourself of the opportunity to have impact because you are cutting yourself off from that part of who you are, that essential part of who you are. A year later, when I launched my business, I left my corporate job of 13 years to launch my business, and I thought about, what do I want to stand for? And as speakers, we're often thinking about that. What do I want to stand for? What do I want to be about? And I thought about all the experiences I had with my own burnout and disengagement and feeling checked out and feeling frustrated and undervalued and unfulfilled and unheard at work. And I thought, gosh, I want to be somebody who helps other people through those experiences so they don't have to have the burnout experience that I had, or so that they don't have to feel so unfulfilled and so muted in their life and in their work. And the only thing I could think to call that was unmuted. So when I left my job, I was hanging my shingles like, I stand for being unmuted. This is my company. Then the pandemic hit about 7 months later. Great time to start a speaking business, as many of you in this room know. And I started sharing little snippets of videos on LinkedIn, videos of me singing, because all of us needed an outlet, right? Some people became sourdough bread bakers and some people became gardeners. And for me, I returned to my childhood love of singing. And I would share little snippets of things like Hakuna Matata and Lean on Me and I'm Still Standing, just to help myself through that time, along with the rest of my community. I was pretty surprised when a few weeks into doing that, I got a message in my LinkedIn DMs from a woman I didn't know who was the HR leader at a global company, thousands of employees. And she said, I saw that video of you singing Lean on Me. Would you come speak at our leadership annual retreat and would you sing at the end of it? Is this a thing? Like, people will pay me to do this? I had no idea. I was just doing it for fun. That part of myself that I had hid and then locked up was the thing that they wanted. That's what they wanted me to do. And I went and spoke at that event. It went well. They hired me for another one. The next event connected me to somebody who is in this room, Tim Matthew at Speaking, who then booked me for a series of events the next year and came out to hear me speak in Tampa. And we were sitting at lunch, and he said to me, you know, there's this community that you might want to check out. It's called Three Ring Circus, now ImpactEleven. And I sat on his advice for an entire year and ignored it. Word to the wise, don't do that. People that have been doing this for dozens of years, take their advice. And I joined almost 2 years ago. And so me unmuting myself, allowing people to hear my voice and to see the part of me that was this magic that I had hidden is the reason I'm even on the stage in this room. This is the power of unmuting our magic. I want you to think about your messaging and your marketing. Are they magnifying your magic? How are your messaging and your marketing magnifying your magic? Because for a long time, we were disconnected. About 2 years later, about 2 years ago actually, I felt like there was still a little bit part of my magic that wanted to come out, that I'd still been muting. And I connected with a producer and a composer in Baltimore. And I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. I can't read music, play any instruments. I have no background in songwriting, but I want to write some songs. And we got together in a makeshift studio in his basement. And we worked together for months. And on January 26, 2023, my very first song, Somebody, released on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, YouTube. And since then, I've released 3 other songs and a music video, which was featured in Times Square on Saturday, which was very, very cool. Shout out to Matt and Version for that opportunity. And this is my most recent song. It's called Believe in You. And I've come to learn that over the course of my career and my life, that the power of community gives us the courage to do things we never imagined we could do. We are often blind to our own brilliance, but when we borrow other people's belief in us, we can become unmuted, unleashed, and unstoppable. When we have the courage to unmute ourselves, we can make a significant impact in the world. So would it be okay if this little 9-year-old girl just got up here and did like her dream thing she always wanted to do? Can I share this with you? Can I share Believe in You with you? I want you to now take a quick sip of water. All of us have moments where we doubt ourselves, and we wonder if we have what it takes, if we're enough. Even the people in this room that you think are the most experienced and that like have it all together, they do not. They're struggling just as much as you are. They just hide it better. So this is my invitation to borrow other people's belief in you and to recognize that you have the ability to do more than you realized. Hit it. Always wanted to say that. thoughts ever cross your mind? Like, who do you think you are? Do you really think you have what it takes? And how did you get this far? You stare in the mirror, looking at a stranger, wondering when you'll be found out. The voice inside gets louder and louder, working hard to tear you down. Through the noise, a voice breaks through. Someone out there knows what you can do. Borrow the belief in you, lean into it. When you doubt yourself, call on someone else. Borrow the belief in you, you can do it. If you let yourself receive it, sooner or later, you'll believe in you too. Now tell me, am I the only one that worries about this? What if one day they expose the cracks you're trying to hide? You're not as good as you pretend to be, feeling like a fraud inside. Stare in the mirror, trying to remember when you last felt 10 ounces of pride. Don't you know the cracks are where the light gets through, and it's your time to shine. Through the noise, a voice breaks through. Someone out there believes in you. Borrow the belief in you, lean into it. When you doubt yourself, call on someone else. Borrow the belief in you, you can do it. If you let yourself receive it, sooner or later, you will stand a little taller. You got what you need to fly above the sky. When the voice of doubt gets louder than the ones that lift you up, bring out the best in you. Borrow their belief in you. Hey, lean into it. Come on. When you doubt yourself, call on someone else. Borrow their belief in you. You can do it. If you let yourself receive it, baby, you'll believe. When you doubt yourself, call on someone else. Borrow the belief in you. You can do it. If you let yourself receive it, sooner or later, you'll believe in you.
Come on, let's go, let's go!
Oh my goodness. I feel it. I feel the belief. I have one invitation for them, Seth. Something that everyone can do to put this into practice. Thank you for that. It's just like my childhood dreams are like coming true right here in Nashville. I had to borrow so many people's belief to be able to stand up here and do this. Let me tell you, I still do every single second. I have to borrow people's belief to do this. But here's the thing that I've come to realize. Nobody else ever has or ever will have the exact combination of skills and talents and perspectives and insights and abilities that you have. Nobody ever will. That exact combination is unique. And if you don't act on it, if you don't take that package and use it to create your magic, no one else will ever be able to do that. No one else ever. Sometimes we need to borrow other people's belief to be able to do the things we never imagined we could do. So I'm going to ask you to take a moment, take out your cell phones. Think of someone in your life whose belief you have borrowed. Somebody who has seen the magic in you. It might be somebody in this room, and I bet for many of you it is. Text that person. It might be something as simple as, thank you for believing in me. Just a quick message to let them know. Thank you for believing in me, or it could be something more specific if you'd like. As you're finished that, I'll ask you to stand once you've sent that message. Someone who's believed in you. So many people get to the end of their lives not knowing the impact that they had on other people, and you could be the reason why that is not true, by texting that person, by letting them know, hey, thank you for believing in me. You are the reason I am where I am. I couldn't be here without you. When I doubted myself, you didn't. Look around this room. Look around this room, everyone's standing, everyone's sitting. Notice that you are not standing or sitting alone. You are not. When you doubt yourself, call on someone else, call on someone in this room. Borrow their belief in you. You can do it. And if you let yourself receive it, sooner or later, you'll believe in you too.